Hey, what's up, YouTube? How are you doing today? This is Svenson here to teach you another drum lesson on one of my songs called Good Christian Girls. This is going to be the bridge. It's kind of a more complicated one of my songs, but it's actually not that hard when you dissect it and start learning it. So let's get started. All right, so that is the bridge. And so if you noticed, I started out with kind of a ride groove, and then I went into a tom groove. So let's start with the ride groove. So what I'm doing here is just a basic beat, and then I'm doing some funky ride action. So it's just like this. All right, so let me do that a little bit slower, and you guys follow along. Alright, so now when I move to the ride, this is where it gets a little more tricky. On the second kick, that's when I do two rides, so it's like this. That's gonna be how it sounds, so let me do that a little bit slower. A little slower. So it's just going to be like that for about 2 measures, and then I go into kind of a tom groove. So let's do this ride thing one more time. All right, so before I go into that tom groove, I do a little fill. That sounds kind of like this. Okay, so what I'm doing on this fill right before the tom groove is I'm hitting the snare opposite of the ride twice, and then the third time I hit the snare twice, and then the tom twice, and the floor tom twice, and it sounds like this. Okay, actually, correction, I'm just hitting the tom once and then the floor tom twice. So I'm going like that. So snare twice, tom, floor tom twice. All right, once you got that, you can do that a little bit faster. All right, so that's the little fill right there. Now we move to the tom groove, which sounds like this.
Have you ever met a girl?
All right, so what I'm doing there is eighths on the floor tom. And then I'm doing a regular snare beat on that, so it's just kind of like it was with the kick twice. So practice doing that. So instead of doing the ride, you're doing the floor tom. And then you do a 16th on the tom to compensate. And then you bring your right hand over to the floor tom and hit that twice. So really slow, it's like this. All right. All right, so now I'm going to change that up a little bit because I add a little accent on the ride and the hi-hat. So what I'm doing on the ride is I'm doing a bell ping, and I like to hit on this surface right between the tip and about 2 inches down. I like to hit that right on the bell so I can get a good crack. Because the tip just doesn't sound as good to me. Like, sounds a little kind of wimpy, so hitting that right there, right where it changes, is a nice loud little crack. So then I hit that and a hi-hat, and I kind of lift up on the hi-hat when I'm hitting it with my left stick. Just like that. So practice hitting the hi-hat with your left stick and kind of opening it up as you hit it. Okay, so when I'm throwing that into the mix, it's like this. This is slow. So right after I hit the snare the second time, then I'm hitting the ride bell ping and the hi-hat. So it's kick drum twice, hitting the floor tom at the same time. This one is probably a little bit harder, but once you get used to it, it's super fun to do. All right, so now let's practice doing it from the beginning to the end. Alright, so that's the first part. Now it goes into the rap version where I take out the hi-hats and just do the accents on the toms instead of the hi-hat and the ride bell. So it's going to sound like this.
Have you ever met a girl who's a Christian? I got a secret, so you better stop and listen. To find a good one, it's 1 in a million. Because the bad ones, they just can't stop sinning. Good Christian.
And then when I end that rap verse, I hit the snare about 4 times, I think, 4 or 5 times, and then I hit the tom and the floor tom twice, and then I mute the cymbal while I'm hitting the kick drum simultaneously. So practice doing that. This is in 3/4 time, so even though it's a 4/4 song, I go into 3/4 multiple times on multiple fills, so they're gonna sound like this. So when you're ending that little tom groove, that's all there is to it. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you like my videos. Please subscribe.